develop, and the idea is to really foster social progress, which informs why we're working together with the different stakeholders to try and see how we can, spark the spirit of collaboration and grow the innovation sector in Uganda.
Now to you, Moses, if I am a first time, if I'm just approaching you for the first time, what should I know about you, let's say, and what should the viewers as well know about Enable?
Well, thank you, Joram. A pleasure to be here. My name is Moses Owing, and I work as the digital rights expert with Enable. Enable is the Belgian development agency in Uganda. We implement the development priorities of the Belgian government in international cooperation in Uganda. I've been in the space of digitalization for quite some time, more than 10 years of that experience, advising international organizations in the field. But currently I'm also working on digital entrepreneurship and innovation, digital rights for girls and women, and supporting the innovation ecosystem broadly. And yeah, so Enable as an organization is very interested in supporting the innovation ecosystem in Uganda. We have programs. We just got a new country portfolio running for the next 5 years, where we are going to be directly supporting Startup Uganda, which is, Nicholas is going to talk more about it for the next 5 years.
And speaking of Startup, Nicholas, what is Startup Uganda, and what should Ugandans know about it, really? As you did mention before we went on air, that we have the 5th edition of the Innovation Week in Uganda. Before we even go into the Innovation Week, what does the startup mean for the young entrepreneurs, techpreneurs, and those in the innovation space?
So, in definition, Startup Uganda is a consortium of entrepreneur support organizations, which is to mean innovation hubs across the country, co-working spaces and different stakeholders that come together under an umbrella, an association of people whose objective is, one, to advance the startup ecosystem in Uganda, to work together, to collaborate, to make sure that the innovation scene in Uganda grows at a pace which is unprecedented, and to kind of, spark, digital transformation across the country. So that's what Startup Uganda stands for. So it's the main convener of the Uganda Innovation Week, and works with different partners such as the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, Enable, and the different partners that come together to pool resources, pool expertise and ideas to try and bring the innovation community together. So you would say Startup Uganda is a convening place for the innovation community in Uganda. It's that place where we come to discuss ideas. It's that place where innovations can be catalyzed from to realize this idea of the digital economy.
You've mentioned partnerships, and brings me to my question of how many have you partnered with, which communities or which innovation hubs, or let's say techpreneurs, have you worked with in this digital space?
Not to be very specific, because the association or the partners that we're working with are quite broad, under the auspices of the Uganda Innovation Week, but just to give you a hint of who we are trying to work with. So the need is to try and drive impact-focused innovation, to try and bring more inclusivity in the sector. So one, we've partnered with the Ministry of ICT. That's the technical partner that drives the policy that shapes innovation in Uganda. And then Startup Uganda, of course, which represents the different innovation hubs. So under these hubs, they have incubation programs, they have acceleration programs, which work directly with startups. So we are talking about thousands of startups. And in recent weeks, we've been working very strongly together to try and create sectoral linkages across the border outside of Uganda.
And of course, now let me get to Moses here. The viewer here as well would wish to know of what CAS represents. I personally as well, the KAS, what it represents and its role in the Uganda Innovation Week this very year.
I think there's a question for Nicholas. CAS is Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. I'm from Enable, and Enable is the Belgian Development Agency. I told you that we implement the priorities of the Belgian government in international cooperation, how cooperate with government of Uganda and other stakeholders.
All right, and now that brings me to an interesting one, though.
Yeah.
Is how you get into, you've actually mentioned how you get into these startups and all that, but how do you pick interest into the Uganda Innovation Week?
Well, yes, innovation has been at the core of our work, both in Uganda here, but also in partner countries that we work in. In Uganda, we have been supporting, innovation days and, supporting private sector and civil society to innovate and come up with solutions and business models that help broaden the ecosystem and empower innovative ideas and solutions that can benefit the country. So at national level, that we have been doing that a lot, working with startups in Uganda, designing some countries. Even in Uganda this week we are holding we'll call it our prize.
Okay.
And our prize, which basically recognizes the outstanding contribution of women entrepreneurs in the innovation ecosystem. The event will be launched, will be conducted this week at Hotel Africana. But like I said, we also have a project designed specifically for the next 2 years that will aim at working with digital entrepreneurs and especially women and girls, so that they're able to innovate and come up with solutions and business models that can help provide opportunities for young people and women in the digital space.
Okay, and
I would like to just add to what
sure.
Moses has just mentioned.
Sure.
This is speaking to the why. Why are we here?
Oh, yeah.
Why are we convening the Uganda Innovation Week? So really, at the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, our focus is on 3 areas, and that informs our intervention in working with the startup ecosystem in Uganda. One, we need to recognize that we have many barriers that entrepreneurs face in this country in trying to realize their dreams of building sustainable enterprises. And so from our perspective, we're looking at it from a policy level. So working with the people that draft the policies, the people that implement the policies, to try and create a conducive environment in which entrepreneurs or startups can do their work and be able to foster these innovative ideas that they have. So you know that politics is very important in driving digital transformation. One, because the politicians must understand the intention behind why people create businesses. One, that is to create jobs, to create gainful employment, and to contribute to the economic development of the country. That is really why, that's the core of why people create businesses, to impact lives. So when you look at Uganda, which is one of the countries with the youngest population in the world, there are 2 things that can happen. That population can be of an advantage to the country, where we can train and skill and change the attitudes or mindsets of those people that we need to join our workforce to build the digital economy that we're talking about today. The other thing which is on the downside which can happen is that if those energies, the dynamic youth, are not put, if we're not investing in young people, investing in the human capital that we need to drive the digital economy, you can have social discontent, you can have anarchy, and you'll have very high unemployment levels, and that has a negative impact on the development of the country. So from our side, we're really looking at the policy implications of innovation, of technology, and how people can access these emerging technologies that we have. And maybe lastly, the second intervention that we look at is building the knowledge component of what makes the innovations grow, the research and development. This is lacking in our ecosystem. So we try to bring in our experience from an international perspective
to how it is.
To bring in the expert, the resources that we need to work together with the different
I wanted Moses
innovators,
to also give me his observation.
Yeah.
When you look back 5 years of the Uganda Innovation Week, what has been your observation? First, how we're actually getting, how we're trying to encrypt, if I'm to put it in that way, to encrypt innovation into the business world, or digitizing our economy. What has been your observation? And as well as for you as the stakeholder in the Innovation Week, how has it been with working with partners like the Adenauer Foundation?
Thank you, Joram. For me, as an observer and Enable, really, we have been supporting the Innovation Week for the past 3 years.
Okay.
Started just, this is its fifth edition. But we have come very far, I believe. If you look at the ecosystem today,
yes,
there is more coordination, there is more coherence in terms of the, the mechanism that brings, the ecosystem together. If today you are looking for any sort of information that, resonate around the ecosystem, you can clearly get that kind of information. So for me, in terms of, seeing it evolve, we are getting somewhere. Of course, not withstanding challenges. There are still a lot of challenges in regard to policy, in regard to, strengthening, the mechanism for even the ecosystem to evolve and cooperate, among themselves, and also the partnership that multi-stakeholder groups bring on board, like, the work that Conrad at University of Tang does, and the one that Enable in Uganda does to support the ecosystem. I believe that with our collective contribution and the work that we are doing currently, I just told you that for the next 5 years we are going to be working with Startup Uganda to support the ecosystem in more realistic terms. So I believe that the future is vibrant for the ecosystem, and we look forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really changes with this year's edition of the Uganda Innovation Week is that, one, it's impact focused and it's very inclusive in nature. So the previous editions of the Uganda Innovation Week was previously held under the auspices of the Kampala Innovation Week. So there's been a huge shift in framing the topics and framing the agenda for this year's Innovation Week. So we're trying, one, to create tangible value and partnerships for the entrepreneurs that are coming. So you realize that we are going to be hosting master classes where they can meet, leading minds or entrepreneurs and get tips on how to grow their businesses. We have business clinics where, people will be getting practical tips on how to grow their businesses. You have fireside chats, which are more or less like informal chats with leading experts in the industry to kind of share perspectives that are driving growth of innovation in the country. And then you have the investor lounge, which I think for me is one of the most important features, which is to try and attract capital, to attract investment into the country, so the entrepreneurs can be able to scale their businesses.
Okay. Moses, when you look at the unique lessons that Ugandans are putting out there, what are some of those that you look at in the Ugandan innovation space and you feel like there is something unique or there is an X factor, and that is the reason as to why you're still pushing for this within Uganda's digital economy?
Jerome, thank you. I think that this also draws specifically from our unique perspectives and experiences as Enable supporting the ecosystem in Uganda. The work that we have already done with innovators and many startups in Uganda. But I would say that for the lesson that I would channel there is that the ecosystem is supposed to be an iterative process. Starting a business idea and a solution is a process that is iterative, meaning that you need to continuously go back and look back and reflect, redefine, and redesign the product and solution. So it's a process that takes time. I would also say that it requires some dedicated financial support and contribution, and this is why the ecosystem need government support a lot in terms of the policy environment that forces it to thrive, but also the funding that comes with it to support that that approach. So for me and for Enable, based on our experiences, we think that enhancing that opportunity for startups to learn from each other, and many countries are at different level of maturity. For example, Joram, my colleague Bart is currently part of the team that is formulating a digital innovation project for enhancing digital innovation in teacher training colleges in Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania, and that perspectives where different countries can share experiences, the ecosystem can come together and share experiences and learn from each other is equally key. So I think those are the insights that
my biggest lesson, I think, would be one, these forums exist to foster continuous learning, to foster continuous experimentation.
Yeah.
That's how ideas are born. To allow people to try and iterate what works, what doesn't, and figure out really Nicholas, the solutions that can address the development challenges.
Nicholas, let me cut you short there. When you mention of the ideas, we've seen many, since COVID-19. Why I talk about COVID is because this is when most of the Ugandans realize the digital space is really an active one, or still a virgin territory for the Ugandan space. Now, when you talk about the ideas, we've seen many young innovators. With the advancements in banking innovations, everyone is actually having different ideas, different innovations on paper, in their brains. They're actually boiling each other day that comes by. But at times you realize these young innovators have not seen their ideas put to task, or they haven't seen their ideas develop. Now, as I'm taking this question to you from the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, what are you going to do, by using also the Uganda Innovation Week here? What are you going to do to see that these particular innovators, the young innovators, those who are watching and they want to tap into this virgin territory or this very competitive space now, how are they going to tap into it, and how are you going to do that for them as the foundation? So,
well, the foundation, our role is really, one, as a co-facilitator of the innovation process in this country and in the ecosystem in Europe.
Okay.
So we try to create linkages for the entrepreneurs here to, one, learn the best practices across the country and outside of here, and we try to connect them with the German innovation sector and also the entire EU. So because the political foundation, we are formed in the spirit of international cooperation. So people can lean on our expertise, on our resources to try and achieve whatever they need to achieve with the resources, with the ambition that they have. The work that we do fits into Uganda's new digital transformation roadmap, and I think Moses is very well aware of this. We launched this recently, so that is a framework, it's a tool that we want to use and try to implement the digital vision for the country. So when we're talking about the digital economy, we're looking at, one, strengthening the capacities for young people to be able to participate in the digital economy, but also looking at the enabling factors for that to happen. You need connectivity, you need internet access, reliable internet, but also inclusivity. So making sure that communities that are in hard-to-reach areas can also access the same benefits that people like us in urban areas are able to access. So
yes, Moses, you
digital connectivity will be very important for that to happen.
Yeah, just building on from what Nicholas has said, and just to bring that broader perspective on bankable solutions, and that remains on paper. I wanted to say that from our collective experiences and also working with other partners, we have been running initiatives in Uganda here. I talked about the Innovation Days, which is basically fostering innovation between Europe and Africa, and then the Africa-Europe Digital Innovation Network, specifically geared towards fostering innovation in partner countries. And in Uganda here, we have been working with young people and to design solutions and come up with ideas. And I can tell you that from our experience, we have been able to have a lot of young people that have come up with solutions and ideas and business models and policy papers and applications that are really making a contribution to the ecosystem. I give you an example. Many of our the young people that we have worked with have come with an integrated sustainable environmental management system that helps to manage waste. In West Nile region, we have Takash e-waste, which is an integrated management solution that helps to preserve the environment. We have Get Cassava, is basically a business model that allows buyers and sellers of cassava to sell their products both in raw but also in finished products form, whether it is cake or all sorts of those finished products. And the business is doing well, and we continue to support them. And during the Innovation Week, we are going to be bringing them, Nicholas, and they will also be showcasing their experiences. So that is one example of how we move, we nurture this innovation, and we help to sustain them and move forward, and they grow together with other
So just to
stakeholders.
complement what Moses has said,
Yeah.
so the entrepreneurs will use the Innovation Week as a platform to showcase
their abilities and
to showcase their ideas, their innovations, so other people can be able to see the transformation that these innovations have.
Nicholas, when we do return after the break, I want us to look at how they can actually reach out to you. Very, very key concern there. How they can reach out to you, how they can actually tap into these various opportunities presented by the Uganda Innovation Week as well, and then also how they can partner with other techpreneurs or other innovators away from Uganda, because it at least gives them a very big trajectory for what they want to achieve with their ideas and what they have on paper. When we do return, I'm still with Nicholas and Moses, and we are talking the Uganda Innovation Week. You are still watching UBC's UBC Good Morning Uganda Extra, so it is definitely a time for us to talk innovation. I did mention it's very interesting of a topic that we have this morning. When we do return, we talk more of the Innovation Week, how you can get into it, how you can benefit, and how you can partner with the other partners who are partnering with the two I have this morning. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
African Airline Association, in conjunction with Uganda Airlines, presents the 55th AFRA Annual General Assembly between the 19th and 21st November 2023 at Speak Resort Hotel, Munyonyo, in the heart of Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. In attendance will be 500 high-profile African and global aviation leaders, 40 airline CEOs making strides to transform aviation for development. The 55th AFRA AGA is proudly powered by
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Many thanks for sticking around to UBC television this morning. And in studio with me, I do have Moses Owinyi. Moses Owinyi is a digital rights expert from Enable. And as well, I do have Mr. Nicholas Opolot. Nicholas Opolot is a programs manager at the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, Uganda. So our conversations this morning are highly basing on innovation, but as well embedding it around the Uganda Innovation Week. So this is where we are having a different conversation, different ideas about Uganda's digital economy space, and as well trying to see how you, a young innovator or a young techpreneur, can tap into these available spaces, how you can partner with various individuals, companies, as well as successful innovators world over. It is quite an interesting topic because of the fact that we are all into this digital space today, and it's one where it is not only survival for the fittest, but for the smartest as well. So as we were heading into the break, I did mention something to do with how you, a young innovator, can reach out to the various partners, or how you can participate in the Uganda Innovation Week. But I did not mention how hard it is for some of the innovators in this country to develop their ideas or to become successful in the space? And of which, I'll start with Nicholas here. Looking at, our internet penetration and then also the level of connectivity, is it a simple journey to ride on if you're to look at it?
I think when you're looking at the digital infrastructure of the country, obviously that's an enabling, pillar for the digital economy.
True.
So currently we have very low penetration of internet access in the country. Very few people actually have access to internet, and the few that have access to it are also yet to harness the full potential of it, to understand the dynamics of how money can be made on the internet. So you have to look at different entry points that make connectivity very difficult. One, the data is very expensive, and in this case we're talking about internet. The ISPs, the internet service providers, haven't really harmonized the price of data in the country.
Okay.
It always fluctuates up and down, so it's not at the rate which can enable many people to join the internet, but also having access to the devices. That's still expensive for a country where you have high unemployment, you have low social security. There are very many priorities that people have to face every day, and that's the last thing on their minds, thinking about how to penetrate into the digital economy.
Okay.
So one, building a system that empowers and uplifts people to benefit from this digital education. Yeah. So companies like Google, Alibaba, Jumia, the e-commerce platforms normally have programs where they train people to also embrace or harness the platforms that they have. But we currently have a big gap in digital education, and many entrepreneurs start to interact with innovation processes right after they leave university. But what we're kind of trying to advocate for is that let's embed, technology learning, STEM learning in the curricula of, young children, so they're, embedded with the mindsets of, trying to solve problems, trying to solve challenges from a very young age. So we build a whole critical mass of young people who grow up to be the digital architects of our digital vision in this country.
Okay.
So one, that's just the digital connectivity that we've talked about as a challenge which is still prevailing. The second would be lack of funding. So many entrepreneurs come up with all these brilliant ideas, but the stumbling block they normally face is funding. So the ecosystem doesn't have enough money flowing in terms of investment capital that they need. There's just very little of that. Uganda is underfunded in terms of startup capital. The government has some initiatives certainly to help young people, but I think those efforts can be improved, enhanced, so you can have a very robust framework in which you support young people to bring their ideas to life.
Okay.
And maybe I'll leave Moses to also
Yes, Moses. How
complement
hard and how easy have you tried to make it look?
Yeah, I think for us, from our experience, we part of digital skilling and setting up infrastructure has been at the central core of our work. If you look at our work with the innovation hubs, we are able to set up innovation hubs or digital hubs in vocational training institutes across all the 4 regions in Uganda, in Karamojo, Alberta, and Rwenzori regions, all intended to foster that mindset of, designing, solutions, ideating and co-creating, ideas that can generate, solutions that can be essential for the empowerment of, people, even in rural communities. So on that basis, we equip those innovation hubs with, computers and internet infrastructures and VR reality, virtual realities, sets to sort of just help, students in technical and vocational institutes to have an inspirational journey in their digital skilling and stuff like that. So, and we have app managers who continuously, train them, and then we have a series of digital skill projects that keep running on those innovation hubs. Again, like I mentioned, we have a project that will specifically aimed at targeting marginalized groups, you'd say,
yes.
But also specifically women and girls, so that they are able to gain skills
Okay.
and also, support their digital entrepreneurship journey.
The conundrum we face really in this is that one, you have young people entering the marketplace, but their skills are not matching the needs of the fourth industrial revolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it actually brings me to my other question, which is talking about which startups. I do know you've engaged with quite a number of those startups. Which startups have you looked at or have you supported really, and you've seen them grow in regards to the kind of market trends that continuously evolve each other year that passes? Do we have those startups that are making it huge in the ecosystem here?
So, and I think it's really good to tell success stories that work, to kind of bring some visibility and to also show why the innovation sector in Uganda is compelling.
Okay.
So I think one of our biggest strengths right now in building the digital economy is that we have a vibrant digital financial services sector. I've traveled across the world and I can tell you that the digital financial sector we have in Uganda really works. We don't appreciate that enough until you travel and you find that you have limited payment options. So I think it's important for young entrepreneurs or people that own businesses to have channels in which they can be able to receive and send money and to also keep a tab of how they're spending their money. So across the country, you will find that many businesses use mobile money. It works here. In East Africa, mobile money is a main feature that has really enabled so many young digital entrepreneurs to scale and leapfrog some of the challenges they would face in trying to build, their companies or their ideas. So this is a backbone that everyone is trying to build the digital economy on. And it's one of those best examples why you see that it's a use case that has social context. People understand what they're trying to solve with mobile money, and that is to give access to people who are unbanked, access to the digital economy. So you see that for us in Uganda, we've been able to leapfrog from no telephony to mobile telephony, and then from mobile telephony
to the smartphones
to digital, to digital banking. So that has been a huge success factor in enabling many companies to, transact across the region, not just in Uganda, and also give them access, to capital. I think it's important to capital. So mobile money has been able to realize a lot of revenue that these businesses need to thrive.
Okay.
Yeah, and they can be able to also take on the bigger giants, such as Amazon, or so someone is able to outflank, a big giant like that through using such platforms to build his business.
Nicholas, do we have a theme for this Innovation Week, and how structured is it to enable?
So the theme for this year's Innovation Week is Adapt or Be Left Behind. How opportunities in which the entrepreneurs can use to tap into the digital economy.
True.
So the thinking behind that theme really is to try and leverage, digital transformation as a building block for the digital economy. One, to see how to enable people to participate, to build or strengthen their capacities to, contribute to the digital economy, but also to ensure that they stay there longer, which speaks to sustainability. So you want to make sure that entrepreneurs stay in that process of creating solutions, they stay in business. So currently the business environment in this country is not very conducive for many startups. One, startups in this country or entrepreneurs that have small or medium enterprises are looked at as conventional businesses, but startups have a unique identity to them. They're starting out. That is why a company that's starting out is called a startup.
True.
It doesn't have the conditions that are still
of a well-established
business. So URA, you find them taxing startups the same way the tax
the already established ones.
So you find that the regulations that are applied to startups are not very specific, and that's why with the many stakeholders we have, we're trying to work towards the vision of building a robust and inclusive startup policy. One, to enshrine the aspirations that the entrepreneurs have, but to also, give light to the challenges or the obstacles they face in trying to do their work. So in the country, we still have disjointed efforts in trying to make that happen. There are many stakeholders who still work in silos. They're not collaborating together and bringing these resources to make sure that this happens. So in the spirit of international cooperation, collaboration and partnership, this really informs the theme of why we're having the digital economy for this year's edition.
Well, and I do love the fact that you've mentioned that adopt or
be left behind.
Be left behind. Let me get to Moses here. Moses, when you look at the issue to do with adapting to the new trends, where do you think is the challenge for the young innovators? You know, he has actually hinted on the fact that in Uganda today, URA will still tax a startup as high as it's taxing one who has already made it in business or who has actually stayed and mastered the art of running any business. So when you look at the kind of adaptation, it's not an easy thing, trust me. But looking at it in a way, how can someone adapt into these trends of social, let's say, trends of the digital space?
Yeah, like we already mentioned, starting up a business is not an easy thing. True. You keep learning on the way. You have to be resilient. So for those who already have started something, the issue is that you keep pushing, you keep learning, and you keep improving every other day so that you get better, even with the challenges that come with it. For the young person that is interested in the space, the starting point, in my view, would be to interest yourself in the ecosystem. Learn, research about who are the players, who are the actors, and how can you get on board, and start, thinking, start coming with ideas, and then you can pitch some of these ideas. That the ecosystem, like we said, is already vibrant enough, and so before you even come to CAS or Enable, you already, have done your homework, and you know who to go to, where to go to, because for us as development actors, then we come into to complement and supplement where we are, but you need to keep learning and moving forward. In
regards to that, there are three things that the entrepreneurs can do to get the maximum value out of the Innovation Week.
Okay.
They can connect, they can exchange, and partner.
Okay.
So those are the three focus areas for the Innovation Week. So all the entire agenda of over the 3 days is to just allow people to get into a space where they can, one, spark ideas, connect with people who are running some of these ideas or have the resources to help them, exchange on best practices, because I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. Some of the challenges we're trying to solve in our ecosystem here in Uganda have already been solved in different parts of the world.
On that very point, I need the viewer to also know, when is this, as we're speaking of a 3-day event, when is it kicking off, where is it going to be, how unique is this one this time around, how unique is it from the previous editions we've had or the other Innovation Weeks we've been holding as a country?
So the Uganda Innovation Week will be hosted from the 22nd to the 24th of November this month.
That's next week.
It will be hosted at the National ICT Innovation Hub in Nakawa, just right next to the Makerere University Business School, MUBS. So for those of you that are interested in coming participate in the Innovation Week, I invite you to come one, to come all. Just come and connect with other like-minded people who are driving innovation in the country, but also the real tangible benefit of value that entrepreneurs get from coming participate in the Innovation Week is that, one, they'll be able to meet a huge network of that community which is coming together across the country and also outside of the region. So, for instance, the Investor Lounge, which is going to be run by the East African Venture Capital Association, is a compelling feature for a lot of these innovators, that need access to capital, but also understanding how money works, how you can access that money, but also, running your business in a sustainable way that creates value for you.
Okay.
So you have deal rooms. Deal rooms are these side sessions or side tracks which are designed for you to meet some of these investors. They take you through the process of, seeking capital, understanding some of the market trends that influence the capital, or just getting the ABCs, of money, how you get to attract money. And for us, we want to try and see that we can attract money to Uganda so people can come and invest in us as a country. So that will be a main objective for us as well. But also the other practical thing that people should look out for, CAS Uganda, for instance, will be running a fireside chat, that brings together entrepreneurs, academia, policy people to exchange, on the best knowledge practices, and to also just look out for other expertise in the German, innovation sector that can help them, to propel their ideas forward. So,
And of course, now this time around, let me talk to Moses as partners here. What are the expectations of you from the participants, all those who will actually be taking part in the Innovation Week, and also what are you bringing on board this time around that is unique from the previous editions?
Thank you. Jerome, like Nicholas has said, this is a space for people to learn, connect, exchange,
True.
which is very key. If you're interested in the sector, in the ecosystem, this would be your opportunity to be there. For us as Enable, again, we are going to be there. Actually, we are going to be running a whole day of a human-centered design thinking session, where we'll take participants through design thinking approaches and how you come up with ideas and solutions. So again, participants can come and participate in any of these sessions. We are also going to participate in we are going to participate in one these sessions. I think possibly the booth. We're going to have a session where we'll talk about our initiatives, our programs, and how you can tap from it. We have also been running the work readiness program as part of our broader program within Enable in Uganda, which basically equip young graduates to get the skills necessary for them to get employed in the job market, because research was done previously that indicated that most of the university graduates are unemployable. So how do they get the soft skills, the communication skills, and all those skills necessary to be absorbed into the job market? So we are going to have all of those sessions. So I think it's a big space and opportunity for young people, for innovators, for people who are interested in the space, to get there and learn, connect, and network.
Okay, we have a 3 days event of this particular one of the Innovation Week, which is centered around adapt or be left behind, because with the new various changes in the space of innovation, you'll definitely have to adapt in order to tap into various opportunities that do arrive. Of course, with this kind of conversation that we are likely to be putting to bed now is something that is likely to inspire you as an entrepreneur, especially one who is operating within the digital space, because with the various changes, the matters to do with security, matters to do with how you can prosper in the business part of it, you always have to put yourself in the best positions ever. So the Uganda Innovation Week is giving you that advantage for you to tap into. And 3 days event from the 22nd to the 25th, you say 24th?
24th.
Yes, to the 24th. Those are 3 days of that at the Nakawa ICT Hub, that is Innovation Hub. So you can definitely be part of the same for the young entrepreneurs, the innovators, as well as anyone in the digital space who has an idea of a startup, but you want to look for someone who's actually going to be helpful to you to actually push your idea and put it onto the world scene as well, rather than only having it stored in the paper or at the back of your mind. But gentlemen, as we are summing up with our conversations, I'll give you 2 minutes each for your parting shots, and as well as your encouraging tips to a young techpreneur, as well as any other person who has a startup and they're still facing some key issues to operate steadily in the world of digital business. I'll start with Moses.
For me, I think, like I said, startups need to continuously reflect and learn and improve on their products and understand that this is an iterative process, a process that come with a lot of learnings. But I also say that startups also need a lot of support from government. I think also from the regulatory side of it, the policy approaches that fosters that sector. And also the funding mechanism that is available for them, but also they should be able to tap from the opportunities of that multi-stakeholder actors interested in the ecosystem bring, whether that be CAS or Enable or any other private sector entity. And yes, I really look forward to engaging with a broad range of participants during the week. Like I said, we have the design thinking workshop. We're also going to participate in panel, and then we'll also likely going to have a session that talk about our other different programs where young people and innovators can benefit from. So yeah, I look forward to seeing everyone there.
Nicholas?
I think my parting shot would be for the entrepreneurs, one, not to give up. I understand how challenging it is to create, to run a business. It's not an easy task, and normally when society needs to solve something, we call upon the most dynamic people, the most capable people, and the ones that we can depend on to fix some of these issues of our time. So entrepreneurs are very important to us as a country.
Yes.
They are the architects of our future. If they create businesses, they create value for our economy, and they change people's lives.
Okay.
But also, most importantly, I think entrepreneurs need to be aware of the political economy in which they run, of the environment in which they are in. It's important for people to understand the business environment and the political decisions that influence it or run it. Many times this is neglected, and it allows them to keep abreast of the trends, of the policy implications that happen, and which is why for us as a foundation we always look out for some of the structural barriers that make it hard for people to run businesses, but also to try and address some of the biggest political questions that revolve around business. So for us, the interest in is to try and remove those barriers that make it hard for people to participate in the digital economy.
Okay.
So I look forward to everyone to come and attend the Uganda Innovation Week. It's going to be an action-packed agenda with a lot of practical sessions, with a lot of valuable partnerships that we look forward to being created, and even just valuable conversations that galvanize the innovation ecosystem in this country.
Okay.
That unites us.
All right.
Together.
And there you have it. I've been having two gentlemen with me. That is Nicholas Opolot. Nicholas Opolot serves as the program manager at the Conrad Adenauer Foundation Uganda. Not only Nicholas, I also did have one Moses Owinyi. Now Moses Owinyi is a digital rights expert with Enable. So all of that is centered around the Uganda Innovation. I'm speaking of the conversation we've been having. It's all about the Uganda Innovation Week, which is slated to kick off on the 22nd of November till the 24th of November, which is next week, at the ICT Innovation Hub. That is in Nakawa. And the better directions would be next to the Makerere University Business School, and you'll definitely be there. So to the young entrepreneurs, the young techpreneurs, the young innovators, those in the with business startups already functioning, it's time for you to go in there, share ideas, and meet various mentors who are in the digital space that will help your businesses grow and prosper as well. But for now, we are likely to wish you all the best for your day and a lovely week as well. I am Joram Paul Sonko, and you've been watching UBC Good Morning Uganda Extra. Till tomorrow, good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
African Airline Association, in conjunction with Uganda Airlines, presents the 55th AFRA Annual General Assembly between the 19th and 21st November 2023 at Speak Resort Hotel, Munyonyo, in the heart of Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. In attendance will be 500 high-profile African and global aviation leaders, 40 airline CEOs making strides to transform aviation for development. The 55th AFRA AGA is proudly powered by
in this family, we can't agree. We can't even agree on what to watch. All against today. Martha. Ndoza mulabi. We can't even agree on